Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. And today I'm joined by a very special guest. Dave Nations. Dave, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's go. Let's dive right in. So
Awesome.
I start off every episode pretty much the same way, which is what led you to a career in real estate?
The story I've shared is it was sort of an accident. I was working in healthcare with our dad had a family business. We staff nurses in hospitals. And I'm sitting in the office one day and a buddy called me up that we were best friends from high school, still really good friends to this day, and was like, hey, do you want to buy a house and flip it? And not knowing anything, I was like, sure, sounds good. And that was in 2004. And so we ended up buying a house, rehabbing it, sold it, made a few bucks. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, this is sort of interesting. And slowly started diving into it and then ended up getting my license in 2007. So really, it wasn't the career path I thought I was going to take. Honestly, I thought we'd work in the family business and eventually maybe get to take that over. My dad sold that business back in 2005. And so that wasn't an option. And, kind of doing this real estate thing looked interesting. So I jumped into it.
Okay. So do you remember all the details of that first?
Oh, yeah.
flip?
Yeah. It's funny, too, because, you talk about relationships in this business. And the first loan that we got was an old girlfriend of mine from high school's dad was the president of Royal Bank. And it's so St. Louis, too, just the connections. And we met with him and he was like, sure. He's like, if your parents want to co-sign, I'll give you a loan. So I was like, okay. And we were super excited. We bought this house in Kirkwood, 464 Woodlawn Estates Drive. I still remember the address. And I can still remember the house. Actually, I talked to the guy that bought it from us a few years ago. He had decided to sell it for sale by owner. And I tried to get him to list with me. But yeah, so we bought it, fixed it up. I mean, our dads really came back in and fixed it back up because we didn't know what we were doing. And we had a lot of fun, though. And we spent like 6 months doing this. And honestly, it was, some basic rehab, carpet, refinish the floors, paint, update the kitchen some. But it wasn't a major project, given what I know these days. And then we ended up selling it in May. My buddy and I were at a Cardinal game together and celebrated with some beers, and we made a few bucks, and it was like, oh, this is cool. And he was finishing law school at SLU. So he was able to then have his own brokerage in Missouri since he had a law degree. And so we started our own little independent company, and I kind of worked with him basically as an admin and was doing stuff with him and learning the ropes. And then 2007, I got licensed and started doing a little bit of real estating with him while he was working in the corporate legal side for another business. And then I got a degree in urban planning and real estate development at SLU during that time, thinking that I could get into some bigger real estate stuff. So again, residential was really just sort of an accident, kind of nothing I was really planning on doing. And then in 2009, when I graduated, the real estate market was a little different, and real estate development and doing any of those big projects and that kind of stuff was really unheard of. And so since I had my license, I just decided we'll just do this. And so the way I went, and I've been selling real estate ever since.
So you get licensed in 2007?
Yep.
2007. So nothing's really changed in the industry since then.
No, not at all. It's funny. I actually explain how I feel like it is eerily similar, but on the opposite extreme, right? For the longest time, we've seen the seller side now getting crazy amounts of money, bidding wars there, and buyers are doing whatever it takes to get the houses. When I started in 2007, it was complete opposite. It was buyers doing whatever they wanted, offering whatever they wanted, and sellers then having to bring money to the table. In some cases, couldn't give it away, so it's been like two total extreme markets to have experienced in my career so far. But there are a lot of parallels to it at the same time. So, but yeah, you're right. It's a completely different market. Yeah. I wish I had a lot of money back in 2007. I could have held on to a lot of real estate, seeing the growth we've seen, since then.
One of my favorite like memes or whatever is this kid, and he's like, what was I thinking whenever I was sitting in third grade? I should have been buying every piece of real estate possible.
Seriously, and even the houses that we've bought and rehabbed over the years and sold, and then you see them sell down the road and you're like, God, I had to sell in order to keep growing, but man, it would have been great to hang on to those. They've all doubled and tripled, whatever in prices. Yeah.
So walk me through kind of your growth as an agent, as you've grown your team over the years. Kind of what does that look like, and what do you think have been kind of the keys to that growth?
Sure. So 2007 to 2010, my friend and I worked as in our own little independent business, and I worked out of my guest bedroom and had zero training. We just sort of figured it out, both smart guys, and spent a lot of time on the internet, just researching and learning. Did some open houses, and then just connect with people I knew, and that was really how I did business. And it was good. I learned some things, but one day a gentleman showed up at an open house of mine in 2010. And that open house, unfortunately, had nobody in it except for him. And so I got 2 hours of his time, and he shared with me all kinds of stuff, invited me to a Keller Williams event called Mega Camp, which I know you're familiar with. And I went down there, and my mind was blown, and I had tons of pages of notes. And with the intent that I was going back and going to do all this myself, went back home, started trying to implement these things that I was learning. Then he invited me to a course called Bold, which again, more training, and I hadn't had any. So like all of a sudden the amount of training from Mega Camp and Bold were insane. So about 10 months later, I realized like, I'm just reinventing the wheel. They have what I'm looking for. I need training. They have it, really good training. Let's go. So I'm in May of 2011, went to KW and then really just started learning how to build a team, and then just followed the model and got help from my team leader at the time, David Broso, who's now operating partner of these offices, and super smart guy, obviously. And just, he told me what to do. Made our first hire in actually July 23rd, 2012. So Catherine, who still works with me, her anniversary is coming up here. And so that was my first hire as an admins, and she just kind of did everything. And, started going in and was like, all right, we started it before I even had anybody as the nation's group. And it was just me. With the intent that I was going to build this big business, just like I saw people on stage talking about. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you had the vision before anything.
Yeah, I mean,
you were like, I know this is where I'm headed.
Sitting in that audience with and listening to these teams and these agents talk about what they were doing at the time. Ben Kenny was a guest up there talking about how he was generating 1,000 leads a month from Craigslist, and he was doing a massive amount of business. I don't remember exactly how much, but I mean, I had closed like 10. So, and he probably did that in a week, and I was just sort of mind blown that you could do that much business and that these people could run a team and a business through selling real estate. And it was really attractive to me. Growing up, my dad was an entrepreneur and started a lot of businesses. So seeing the opportunity to be able to build a business through real estate without having to just sell as a realtor was what really opened up my eyes in a lot of that training. And then the Red Book and teaching you how to do this was like, okay, well, other people are doing it. I should be able to do this. And that's just what I focused on. And my goal ever since has been, how do I build a team that I can really run like a business? And that's what's attracted me to this whole thing.
And you said your first hire has been with you for 13 years. Mm-hmm. So I think that's amazing. First off, what do you think? I think there's a lot of top producers out there that are making hires, and the challenge is you want to attract talent, but then you also want to keep that talent, right? You want to build a world so big that people would never want to leave it, right? So talk to me about that. I think there's a lot of teams out there that struggle in that regard. So
sure. I would say, I think part of that's luck. I got referred to Catherine from a mutual friend of ours at the time, and I wasn't really ready to hire, but he was like, you need to talk to her. And then I was like, okay, sure, let's do this, and that worked out that I was able to find her that way. From a, retention standpoint, I think the biggest thing for us has been the vision and promoting and looking at what it is we wanted to build. One of my first coaches, Mitzi Jesnicki, at the time was a MAPS coach, and I hired her in 2011, and she had me draw out an org chart and said, put out what do you want to build? And so I remember drawing this whole thing up on a piece of paper. Catherine later made it look really cool and color coordinated and all that. And that was what I wanted to build. And it was a real estate team. It was having a division where we had rehabs, then we had our own property management with guys that work for us, and then ownership in some market centers. And not exactly to a T, but a lot of that has come to life since 2011. We've got the renovations business. We have 4 guys that work for us full time. We have a full-time property manager that manages our properties. We've got 94 doors. We've got a real estate team. I've gotten to invest in a couple of Keller Williams market centers over the years as well. So all of it worked. It was just, I had to put it down and then focus on it. And I think being able to share that vision, because I'm a very visual person, so having it written down and saying like, this is what I want to do. Can you help me do this? Is what I think she saw and others have seen as like, okay, wow, we're going to do something cool. we're not just going to sell real estate, which is good, but we're going to do something more than that. And that's what I think really helped, was having that, casting that vision, as you hear a lot of times, and then along the way, they're fully involved in this, the operations people, I don't feel like get talked about as enough, but they're really the brains behind a lot of the operation, right?
Yeah.
And they're the ones that
very few agents are system-based, right?
Yeah. But the systems can make an agent look really good, and having really good admin who are really good with the systems, are important. And I think that they're the ones that really make everything work and function. And you find the right people and you lean into them, and then also, let them have ownership in this and let them decide what direction we want to go and how we're going to do this, and collaborate and work together. And I think you create an environment like that. And I think that it keeps people around and they have ownership in it just as much as I do. This isn't about me. This is about us building something bigger,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned coaching. I want to touch on that for a second. So where have you seen the impact of coaching in your business and your personal world? Like how has coaching impacted you?
Yeah. So, when I came over in May of 2011, I went again, then that summer went to Mega Camp again for my second time. And, David Brosa, my team leader, had said, "Hey, you need a coach." And I said, "What do I need a coach for? I'm just trying to figure out how to sell real estate." So that's exactly what you need a coach for. I'm like, okay. And he walked me over to the booth and was like, "Here, this gentleman needs your help. He's a big thinker, but he needs, and so I interviewed, and I'm really good and open-minded at the idea of just tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. And you tell me I need to make an admin as my first hire. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. You tell me I need to hire a coach, then that's what I'm going to do. As long as there's proof, in it, I'm not just going to like walk off a cliff, but, if you can tell me like, hey, by having a coach, all these other top teams have had them, and this is what happens, and this is how it helps, that kind of thing. Okay, great. Cause my goal was to build and do what these other teams are doing. I'm done, trying to reinvent the wheel. Just let me R&D, rip off and duplicate. So tell me what I need to do. And so I hired Mitzi, and honestly, like I didn't have a whole lot of business going on, but I understood the fact that if I had the right people surrounding me and the right people supporting me, I'm going to grow my business, and that this was an investment in me. So $1,000 a month was like, okay, let's do this. And she was our coach for, I think like a decade, for a while. And it was huge, and it was very helpful. And then just training in general, I became a sponge, was just realizing how much was out there, and that anytime you were wondering how you could do something, somebody's probably doing it. Just needed to figure out who it was, how they were doing it, how it worked, and then tell me what you know, and I can implement it, and that's really it. And we've built a great organization. People are always mind blown by it, but I'm like, we just are indeed what everybody else was doing. We implemented it, and I think you hear a lot of times where you can tell people whatever you want to tell them. Most of them will never take it and use it, right? Kind of thing. And I think I was the opposite. I'm like, cool, tell me what you're doing, and then I'll come over here and do it,
Yeah.
It's just like, great. So
take massive action.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So with somebody like yourself that's at the level that you're at with multiple businesses, like what's the biggest piece of leverage you feel like you've had in, like, I think there's a lot of agents out there that they build this big business, right? Which is amazing. But then they're like, okay, now I have no time. Like I'm running around like crazy. Like I have no systems. I have no leverage. Like where have you found the biggest form of leverage?
The admin support for sure has been a huge piece. And I think it's also important for agents when they do hire admin is to let go, let the admin own it, let them run with it, let them, take care of it. That's what they do. They're better at it than you are, and so many agents don't think that way. And then they want to hold on to
They wear the cape.
Yeah. And then they screw it up, and then they think they don't have the right person. Just let them run with it, and I think having the right person in that seat will help you double, triple your business, and really grow, and then let you focus on what you're good at, which is going out and selling, going out and meeting people, building relationships, closing the deals, negotiating, doing all that kind of stuff, right? Most admin don't want to do that. They want to do more spreadsheets. They want to do more of the paperwork. They want to do more of the transactions. So go out and get them more of that, and I think if you have the right support there, it can really help accelerate your business and help you grow. It's been the same way for us on our renovations business that my brother and I own together, and we buy and flip. And, it was 3.5 years ago, we hired a full-time admin. And at the time, I don't think my brother fully thought it was something we needed to do. Cause I was the guy that was paying the bills and uploading all the stuff in QuickBooks and doing all the tracking. And then once we did, he quickly realized, wow, this is a game changer, that we have somebody behind the scenes helping us and scaling this business. And, so I think getting that right hire in there from an admin standpoint can be a game changer for you.
Yeah. And I think holding your hires accountable too, right? To the standards that you that you have, right?
Yeah, and I think if you have the right buy-in, I think that that almost happens naturally. If people are excited about what you're building and want to be a part of it, they want to have high standards as well, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think and we have the 30 60 90 plan, right? Which is, how you set up a new hire for success, right? Within KW. So I think that's huge to implement as well. Let's talk about real estate investing and kind of like wealth building for a second. So where, you mentioned your first flip, like how has that evolved over time? You mentioned, you've got 97 doors,
94.
94 doors.
Yeah.
So, what's been that process like of learning the real estate investing world, and how are you building that wealth?
It's been interesting. The second house we bought was in 2006, in January of 2006, and I still own it today. I couldn't get it sold. We were upside down on it. We were trying to sell it for what we just wanted to make from it, not what it was worth. Again, didn't know anything about real estate at the time, and sat on that for 6-9 months like that, and finally just agreed to rent it out. And then it's been a rental ever since, and we're going on it'll be 20 years in January that I've owned the house, actually, now that I said. So great little single family house, turned out to be a really good rental. And so the real investing kind of paused for me at that point because of the market, and I didn't have much income and banks weren't willing to give you any money. 2010, got back into it. My brother and I partnered together and started buying some houses. We did a couple houses in 2010, a couple more in 2011. And our whole goal was, let's buy some houses, make the money, put it right back in, and just keep reinvesting it, generate enough income so then we can go buy some rentals. What we wanted was to build a rental portfolio so we can create passive income. So then when we both quit our day jobs, then we could live off the rental income that we were able to create. So the whole purpose for rehabbing was to build out that rental portfolio. And so, over time, that's what we've been able to do. And we've also scaled the renovations business. We've also hired 4 full-time guys that work for us on payroll. Yesterday, we had the pleasure of buying a new box truck. We've had one for a few years. That one just died, so we just got to buy a new one. It's basically our mobile office. And then we have a full-time admin, and then my brother and then his wife are all involved in the renovation side of things. And we're doing about 20 flips a year. And then, trying to acquire some property every year. Last year, at the end of the year, we bought a 20-unit building. So far this year, we've bought 3 4-unit buildings, and we may keep 1 or 2 of the single families that we're buying and flipping. Just depends on the timing, the market, what we think we can get for it, how much we're into it for, the area, probably more so than anything. If we just want to keep it in Kirkwood or Brentwood or something like that, we will. So yeah, it's really been able to blow up, and as we've gotten further along, I feel like we've been able to move faster. Starting in 2010 and doing 1 at a time, and then another one, and another one, then 2 at a time, and slowly doing this from 2010 to probably 2018. It felt very slow and just sort of like you didn't feel like there was much really happening, but we were still doing deals. And then, all of a sudden we started gaining momentum, and I feel like now we're in a really good rhythm, and we're doing, 5, 6, 9 projects at a time, and it's really taken off. It's pretty kind of amazing to be honest.
I mean, that's wildly impressive. How'd you learn about the real estate investing world? That's crazy growth, right? With that side of things. Like, were you just putting yourself in rooms with other people that were doing it at a high level, or?
I spent a lot of time talking to other flippers, other investors that I know. We would buy houses from them. I think being a realtor is a huge piece of this that has helped, at least from my own perspective, in that understanding what a good buy is and a good sell is. I've always told people who want to get into real estate, and especially when they come to you and say, hey, I want to get in, I want to buy and invest in real estate. Great. Go sell first. Go be a realtor for a good 2-3 years, and you can learn the neighborhoods, learn the areas, learn the price points, see what good rehabs look like, what bad rehabs look like. Just understand the real estate market. And that's what I didn't do in 2004 and 2006 when I bought those houses. And, I sold the one in 2004 and the other one didn't really work. And yes, it was a market and all, but I probably never should have done it to begin with. And had I known what I know now, A, I wouldn't have rehabbed it the way I did. And B, I probably wouldn't have bought it anyway, and I think you just become a student of the market and you get paid for it, through commission. So to me, it would be going in and doing that. And that's really, I think, what helped me. In 2019, maybe 2020, 2019, somewhere in there, I hired a coach on that side of the business as well that we've had. That's been a huge help for us. And he's been our investing coach that my brother and I meet with. He's done all kinds of stuff all over the country. And so we get to meet with him once a month for an hour and pick his brain. So he's been a huge help. And then we meet in person 3 times a year as well with that group and really dive into what we're doing with our business, how we're doing it, and help making sure we're on track with what we want to do. And so from a resources standpoint, sounding board, it's been a huge help. But leading up to that, it was a lot of trial and error, to be honest, and just trying to figure out things. And again, networking with other guys that were doing investing and what are you doing? How's it working? What's happening? And as a realtor, we've also always led with like, I want to make sure that what we're doing is as good as it can be and that we're proud of what we're selling and that my name is behind that as a real estate agent. And I don't want to get a bad name as a rehabber because that'll affect the real estate business. So I feel like we've always done more than maybe we needed to as a traditional rehabber. And it's not just the lipstick on the pig, which I think a lot of like our parents probably think of rehabbing is. And we've gone in and blown out walls, adding in bedrooms, adding in bathrooms, gutting them down to the studs, like redoing it all. So it's really new, and somebody can be proud of that house and we can be proud to sell it to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's awesome. So as far as like challenges with building, these businesses, like what do you think, what are some current challenges that you're currently processing or like working through within the business?
I think as you grow in this and you're adding in more people from hiring on your team, hiring on the renovation side, either way, bringing in more people, you're switching from being a realtor to being a business owner, and it's, you're handling people problems, and how you're then leading your team, how are you coaching those guys, how are you managing them, what are you doing for them, and what expectations you're setting or not. And that's where it gets tricky. You as a realtor on your own can do however you want it, whatever you want to do, right? And it'll look however you want it to look. And the product will be however you create it. But once you start bringing in other people and you're training and teaching them, there's a little bit different flair because it's that person doing it, not you, and then when you bring in another one, it kind of, disappears a little bit there. And I think trying to understand that is challenging, and trying to work through others is really all you're doing there. And making sure you have the right people, and some days you don't, and some days you do. And I think that's really where the challenges are. And, this is all new to me as I've been doing it it's not new now, but as you're getting into it, right? So I've never hired anybody, never fired anybody, and just, okay, cool. You said to do this, let's try this. And then it comes time to like, oh, this isn't working. I fire somebody? I don't know, so you just do it and learn and keep moving on. And a lot of it is that I feel like it's trial and error. But yeah, I think it's learning that. And when I made my first hire, the biggest thing that has always been in my mind is that I'm no longer responsible for just me and my family. It's that person's family and that person that I just hired. And then all the other people that I continue to bring into my world that I need to make sure I show up every day and I do what I said I'm going to do because I got to support them because that's why they're here. And I think that level of responsibility also motivates me to go out and, do a lot more. But I think that's also the biggest challenge is that's a lot of responsibility at the same time.
A heavy burden to bear at times, right?
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun, but it's just, you're learning every day, and I think that part of it is what the most challenging. There's no book that is perfect. Like the red book that tells you exactly how to hire. There's no book on the talent piece that says exactly what to do. Things just happen. We're all human, so.
Yeah. Probably deal with more like people problems than.
Exactly. And challenges and, there's more emotions there and all that kind of stuff. And, it's a lot of fun, but that's also where the stress comes in and the challenges come in and, but that's part of the job. And that's ultimately what I set out to grow and build. And then that's what you get to deal with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, you said a few times that like you're a big thinker, right? You cast big vision. Like what kind of is the next step or the big vision for the next 12 months to 5 years?
Okay. So with the real estate team right now, we've been making a lot of changes with our own team and making some changes. We recently partnered with a platform called Place that I think will really help us scale our business. One of the goals I've had personally for a while is I'd love to get to over 500 transactions a year as a team. We've been consistently in that 200 to 230 units every year for the last 5 years, which is awesome and I'm incredibly proud of. And as a guy that wants to continue to grow, I want to figure out how to get to that next level. How do I break through 300, 400, 500? And I want to go out and find some more talent that wants to come in and join us and help us do that. So my big focus right now is going out and finding agents that want to be a part of this and want to grow it, and ultimately build this to a much larger team that's doing more transactions. And I'd like to bring in more ancillary businesses that we can have in-house, and have more opportunity for agents on our team, and really be that one-stop shop for a team, that can offer that. I know a lot of brokerages do that as well, but really being able to do it at the team level. And then I just think it creates more opportunity from deals, from referrals, for leads, income, multiple streams of income, all that kind of stuff is where I'd like it to be. And that's, between now and really the next 3 to 5 years. So
Sweet. Sweet. So as far as like advice, if there's an agent watching this that either just got licensed or has hit a ceiling in their business, like what advice would you give them?
Just join our team. No, I was kidding.
Yes, here's my number.
Yeah. No, I think it's, you got to be open-minded, and you have to go and spend time learning. I don't think I've ever felt like I know everything. Right. As soon as you start to feel that way, things are changing. The market's shifting. Technology's coming into play. Whatever it is, you have to be open-minded. You have to be open to learning all the time. I heard this once, that if you're in a room and you're the largest person in the room doing the most amount of business, you're in the wrong room. Go surround yourself with people that are doing more than you, and continue to elevate your game, and continue to push yourself. And don't be afraid to go out and ask people. That's what got me here and really helped me, was walking into the Keller Williams office as a brand new guy and just walking around the hall and knocking on everyone's door and introducing myself and asking them, how do you build your business? What do you do? How's it work? Tell me more, and just be open to it, but then implement it. Right now. And I think that's the next piece. You can spend all day training, but then take what you hear and what would make sense and actually implement it.
Yeah. Put the one thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Focus on your one thing.
And then, probably also consistency, as you're saying that the one thing, it's like focus on whatever it is, but just do that consistently. There's so many things happening in this business all the time that it's just constant distractors and,
shiny objects.
Yeah. AI leads, this, that, and all those are good, but find what works for you, stick to it, run with it, and just do it over and over and over and over again. And you're going to get results, so.
Yeah. So, doing 200 plus deals with the team and having your rehab projects going, like what does a day in the life look like for you?
Starts every morning, usually a couple times a week. I work out with a trainer a couple times a week, or go to Orange Theory with my wife. Mm-hmm. And then usually get to have breakfast with my kids. And then from there, usually we're on a Zoom huddle in the morning with the team a few days a week. And then jumping into whatever I have going on, leadership meeting with my leadership team, meeting with the Nations Brothers team, connecting with other agents, potentially as potential candidates, recruits for our team. So it varies, but pretty full most of the time. And usually a lot of it's in meetings, around building our team, meeting with other agents, meeting with people on my team, whatever that looks like. So awesome. Also a lot of it's in training, having rolled into place over the last 6 months. There's a ton of training that they're offering. And so usually I was on a call before this actually for an hour. So there's always stuff to be learning, and how do I figure out how to get better?
I think that's a great lesson, because people could be watching this thinking like you've got it all figured out, like you maxed out, right? But you're sitting here saying like, there's still so much for me to learn.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
100%.
There's another level that I'm aspiring to get to, right? So no matter where you're at in your business, that next level is waiting for you, right? It's just, stepping outside of your comfort zone, being willing to ask questions.
100%. And at the end of the day, like that, not everybody wants that. And I understand that too. But if you're wanting to grow, then, go out and learn, go out and figure it out. I mean, there's so much opportunity in our business. I mean, it's insane. If you want to make more money, you absolutely can do that. I don't know any other like job where you can just be there and you're just going to, double your salary in a year, kind of thing, at least in the, corporate world, right? That doesn't really work, but you could do that here if you wanted to, so yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so I end every episode the same way, which is what's been the most impactful book or podcast that has had an impact?
The guy, Dan Sullivan, has written 3 really good books. The one that I really like is Who Not How. The other one is, was it 10X is easier than 2X? But Who Not How was a tremendous book. And again, talking about leverage, talking about building a team and really figuring out who, so many of us want to do multiple streams of income and have businesses, but then we're the ones doing all of them. and it becomes really hard. And ultimately, most of them fail. And it's because we don't have the right who. Because we're the one who's doing it all. And if I want to have a mortgage business, let's say, then I need to find the right guy to run the mortgage business. It shouldn't be me. I'm running the real estate team. So I think that book had a huge impact on me on the way I think about things. And as I'm continuing to grow, and I get excited about the idea of, let's start another, business, or let's do that. And then it's immediately, who's going to do it? I don't want to do it. Okay, well, now I got to slow down, and early days, I would just jump all over that and try to figure out how to do it. Right. And then I'd get into it and then realize like, oh, wait, now what am I doing? I'm taking my eye off the ball from the other stuff we were talking about. So that would be the book I'd recommend.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
You bet, man. Thanks for having me. This was awesome. Thank you.
And I know everybody watching, listening is going to get a ton of value from this episode. So we'll catch you in the next one.